Have you ever been absolutely 100% certain that you are right about something? I mean, of course you have. We all have. But what if I told you that very feeling of certainty is the exact moment you've completely lost the plot? Today, we are unpacking a truly mind-bending explainer based on the work of author Xu Feng. We're looking at the radical idea that literally everything in the universe, without a single exception, is fundamentally correct, and that judging it is exactly where we stumble.
Okay, let's dive into this. The author drops this core, paradoxical thesis on us right from the get-go. When you think you are right, you are already wrong. Just let that idea sink in for a second. It's kind of this playful attack on our deeply ingrained sense of certainty. We spend our entire lives trying to be right, but this source text argues that the second you claim the high ground, you've completely missed the fundamental nature of reality. Why? Because the universe simply doesn't operate on our little binary system of right and wrong. Everything is just unfolding in perfect order.
The text launches us into some serious cognitive dissonance right away. Think about building a house versus demolishing one. Naturally, our instinct is to say that creating is good and destroying is bad, right? But according to the text, someone engaging in construction is entirely correct, and someone engaging in destruction is also completely correct. They are both totally valid actions within the grand, unfolding tapestry of existence. Both builders and demolishers are simply doing what they do, without any inherent cosmic error whatsoever.
And this radical neutrality applies directly to our daily lives, too. Take dietary preferences, for example. Loving meat versus preferring vegetarian food. We see endless human debates about which one is the morally right choice, but the source equates this to philosophical statements. Saying, a white horse is a horse is correct, and saying a white horse is not a horse is also correct. Whether you want to eat a ribeye steak or a block of tofu, your choice is entirely valid. There's just no cosmic wrongness to either preference.
Now, the source material applies this radical acceptance to absolutely everything, and yes, that includes the most extreme ends of the political spectrum, practicing dictatorship versus practicing democracy. Now, we're not endorsing any viewpoint here, we're just neutrally unpacking the author's radical premise. From their respective standpoints, the text argues both systems are correct. If someone likes to practice dictatorship, they aren't wrong in the grand cosmic sense, and the Democrat isn't wrong either. They're simply operating from entirely different starting points in the human game.
Which brings us to a really fascinating concept. How does the text define what we're actually doing when we judge? It introduces the concept of a standpoint. It's a perspective from which we judge others. The text points out that saying someone else is wrong simply means you're trapped in your own rigid standpoint. It's a flawed judgment because you're failing to consider the differing viewpoints of the people you're judging. If you could perfectly step into their standpoint, you'd suddenly see that their actions or views are entirely correct for them.
Let's shift our focus to the neutrality of nature to really stress test this out. Who can say that the behavior and values of cats are correct while those of mice are wrong? It sounds almost absurd when we frame it this way, doesn't it? A cat chases, a mouse runs. To the cat, catching the mouse is perfectly right. To the mouse, escaping is perfectly right. Nature has absolutely no bias here. So why on earth do we assume our human affairs and judgments are any different?
Or take the seasons, for example. Who can say that winter is wrong and summer is right? We might highly prefer the warmth of summer, and we might passionately hate the freezing cold of winter. But natural cycles possess no inherent morality. Winter isn't out to get you. It's simply winter. It's just fulfilling its role. Saying winter is wrong because you happen to be cold is just another perfect example of being trapped in your own limited standpoint.
Let's take it a step further. Who can say that it is wrong for a fox to eat a chicken, or a wolf to eat a sheep? When predators act on their deepest nature, is it really a crime against the universe? When thorns grow on a beautiful rose branch, is the plant making a mistake? The text urges us to see that the fox, the wolf, and the thorns are all completely innocent. They literally cannot be wrong because they are merely expressing their existence exactly as they were meant to.
And this brilliantly illustrates how the concept scales up to the macro level too. Consider nature's most destructive phenomena: earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, droughts, floods. These are massively destructive events. They cause immense upheaval. Yet, according to the author, they are simply parts of a perfect, orderly game. The universe is not making a mistake when a volcano erupts. All events and phenomena in the universe are fundamentally not wrong. They just are.
But what about human society? This is where the concept gets incredibly challenging for us. Think about people who kill and steal versus the people who stop and punish them. The author explains this as each performing their duty,
Both the perpetrators of crimes and those fighting against them, the police, the justice system, are simply playing their designated roles in this cosmic game. They each bear their own responsibility. The text states it is not wrong for people to steal, and it is equally not wrong for others to punish them for it.
And the author Xu Feng even applies this radical lens to their own life's work. The source text talks about their goal of creating what they call the Life Chen Yuan era. The author states that their efforts to create this era are correct, but fascinatingly, they also explicitly state that those who actively oppose and obstruct the creation of this era are also correct. The obstructors are just playing their own correct roles in the game. Everyone is banging their own gong, and as long as we're immersed in the process, the text says, it's fine.
So what do we actually do with all this information? Well, we look at Tathagata nature. The text defines this as the inherent nature of all life, which should be allowed to blossom according to its own will. Trying to force it to change is total folly. We have to realize that trying to forcibly change others goes completely against natural laws. It's a thankless, impossible task, which is exactly why we so often feel burnt out and frustrated, right? Everything is already blossoming exactly as it should according to its own nature.
The author grounds this idea in a brilliantly simple idiom. A forcibly twisted melon is not sweet. It perfectly illustrates the point. The author explains that forcing a cow to drink water when it doesn't want to, or forcing people to follow your will because you think you're definitively right, is entirely against heavenly will. If someone wants to go to heaven, let them. If they want to go to hell, let them. You simply cannot force sweetness into a twisted melon.
But hold on a second. If everything is fundamentally right and everyone is just playing their perfect role, we really have to face a stark reality here. Human history is defined by worry, pain, trouble, anxiety, conflict, and fear. If the universe makes no mistakes, why has humanity spent thousands of years suffering like this? Why are we so deeply unhappy if everything we do is somehow correct?
Well, the text offers a pretty grim diagnosis for this suffering. It calls it elusive thinking. This is a massive, self-contained circle of wrong thinking, values, and views on life. The author argues that humanity's entire understanding of time, space, life, and origin has been completely backwards for thousands of years. Because we're inside this giant bubble of incorrect paradigms, any judgment we make from within it is automatically wrong. The moment you think you are right inside this illusion, you just prove how deeply trapped you are.
So the crucial point is there a way out? With all this elusive thinking, with all our flawed standpoints and twisted melons, is it even possible to be correct? The author poses the ultimate question. Is there someone who is actually right?
The answer provided by the text is a resounding yes, but it's probably not who you think. It's not the person with the best arguments or the highest morals. The only person who is truly right is the person free from worry, pain, anxiety, concern, and fear. This is the ultimate relief of radical acceptance. The text promises that if you can completely free yourself from these internal anxieties and stop fighting the natural flow of the universe, then suddenly everything you say is right and everything you do is right.
But just when you think you have it all figured out, the author guides us into this ultimate, mind-bending philosophical loop. Let's walk through it together. Step 1. I discuss right and wrong, which proves I am wrong, because existence itself has no right or wrong. Step 2. Because I can prove I am wrong, I am actually right about the nature of reality. Step 3. But because I now think I am right, I'm trapped in my own standpoint again, and therefore I am wrong again. It's a beautiful, dizzying unraveling of our very desire to be correct.
We've seen that from the cosmos down to our daily dietary choices, from predators in nature to our own internal elusive thinking. Right and wrong are so often just illusions of our own making. So, I leave you with this one final provocative thought. Are you right